Skull.
You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to episode 133 of the Rotten Views podcast. I'm doing this one actually early. I'm on the ball on this week. Actually, I'm like 2 weeks ahead on the podcast, so I'm pretty excited about that. It was just the time change as well, because today is Sunday, March 12th at the time of this recording, and yeah, it's fucking 6:30 in the morning, and I'm getting a jump on this, so I can get a lot of editing and whatnot done today. It's just me and the kiddo. She's still asleep, so well, the girlfriend's still asleep as well, but it's just me and the kiddo for the day today. So I figured I'll do some early recording, get the coffee on, get everything set up and ready to go. Got a bunch of artwork we're going to hopefully pound out today, and she wants to do some paintings and whatnot, so it should be a nice, fun, relaxing Sunday. But with the time change, I am kind of tired, because I feel like I slept like 4 hours, because, you know, you lose an hour, and I didn't get done watching this movie till like 1 o'clock last night, and actually fall asleep till probably about 2, and yeah, I've been up since 5:30. So yeah, that's besides the point. That's all, you know, crap that doesn't really matter, but thank you anyways for checking out the podcast, and I really appreciate that. And hopefully this isn't your first episode. If it is, hopefully it's a fun episode. I don't know how it's going to turn out yet, but it's a fun movie at least. But I'll leave all that crap to the end of the movie. Rating and review. I am feeling much better since the last recording I did, but I am still fucking sick because this cough won't go away. Thank you, Winter. I appreciate you, Canada. You're great. But yeah, as always, thank you for checking out the podcast. Like I say, if this is your first episode, before we do get into the podcast, I'm just going to put out some business at the front hand, and also I probably will forget to say this, but once I do start talking about the podcast, if you guys haven't seen this movie, if you want to pause it, it's on Tubi. For some reason though, there's 2 different copies on Tubi, but they both have all like the same exact information. I started both of them at once to see which one was better quality, but they both look like they're the same quality, so I have no idea why there's 2 different copies of the exact same movie, and I think maybe the plot might be written up differently on both. I didn't check that part out, but yeah, everything's the same, the runtime, everything else, so I don't understand. But yeah, you can watch it free on Tubi, so if you want to pause this podcast right now, go watch that and then come back. I appreciate that. We need you here. I need everyone here. I need the listens. I personally don't need the listens. I shouldn't say that. I want you to be here if you want to listen to the podcast, and hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully you enjoy listening to me, you know, ramble and talk about crap about the movie. But yeah, hopefully you guys will come back if you are going to go pause and watch it. But as always, what I've been starting to do now is I've been letting you guys know about all my other stuff going on at the beginning of the podcast, because some of you guys might not make it to the end of the podcast. Some of you guys might not know what else I do. So if you guys want to, all my social medias will be linked down below in the description. As well, you can just follow me on all social medias at @typhonsign, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube being the main one that we are pushing. You can see all my art videos, art shorts. If you go over to YouTube, you can see my Let's Play videos, where I've been playing a lot of classic video games. I actually just have episode 1 of Skull Monkeys out already at the point in time. By the time this actual podcast episode goes live, I should have episode 2 of Skull Monkeys out. I like to do different videos each week. I drop them on a Wednesday. But yeah, I don't like to do the same video over and over again, like continuation. I like to kind of switch it up. That way I can see what people are actually enjoying. And it seems to be people are enjoying Skull Monkeys, because it's my first video to get almost 200 views within a couple days actually. So that's pretty exciting. That's a classic PS1 game made by the same guys that did Earthworm Jim, so definitely go check that out. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, I got some other classic PS1 games coming out. I'm going to try and do some N64 games if I can get everything set up properly with the capture card, but we'll have to wait and see how that all works out. But yeah, there's a bunch of art shorts up there you can see, art videos and whatnot, and that's just the main thing I've been pushing right now. We're almost close to, I think, 450 for subscribers, so if you guys could subscribe to that and hit that bell notification, I'd be very highly appreciative of that. And you can also see that artwork on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and everything else, because that's what I do a lot of, is push the artwork. And we got some more Lunchbox art series pieces coming. Abby wants some video game pieces for lunch, so we're gonna try and fit in some different characters for that, and that should be fun as well. But yeah, you guys are here to listen to the podcast and not listen to me ramble about everything else in my life. But if you guys do show up for the artwork and stuff on YouTube and Instagram and all that, I do appreciate it. And just leave a comment, let me know that you're here from the podcast. I'd love to hear from you guys. And there's the routenviews@gmail.com account, and you can just suggest any movies or anything you want me to watch there. And yeah, I think we're in a really good spot for this year. Like I said, we're 2 episodes ahead, and we just got a ton of content we're going to keep pushing. And yeah, it should be a really fun year. I see the views going up, and I really appreciate everyone for checking out the podcast. It should be a very fun year, and we're going to get into our movie at hand for the podcast and what you showed up for, which is called Dog Soldiers from 2002. It's got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. 92% of Google users like this video. The initial release date was May 10th, and like I said, 2002 by the UK. In the UK. Wow, you can really tell it's early because I'm going to screw up a lot of stuff. But also, I didn't realize it has a sequel called Dog Soldiers Fresh Meat. Don't think that one is on Tubi or anywhere actually on any of the streaming apps I've seen. So I might have to hunt that down to check it out because I do enjoy this movie a lot. But let's save that crap for then. It had a box office of a whopping $5 million, which is really good for a horror movie in 2002. I would believe personally. I wouldn't know actually, to be honest with you. It is directed by Neil Marsh. Let's see what Neil is known for doing. His highest rated movie I almost said was Dog Soldiers, but it's not. Dog Soldiers has a 6.8 on IMDb, but his highest rated movie was from 2005, where he directed The Descent for a 7.2 rating. He also directed Doomsday, which was a 5.9 rating, came out 2008. I gotta revisit that movie. I bought it randomly, and it's freaking weird. It feels like it's 3 movies crammed in the one. You got like the apocalypse end of the world movie, you got part of a zombie movie, and then it turns into like a medieval movie at one point in time that kind of has like a Mad Max movie mixed in with it. I didn't like it when I originally watched it. I think I watched it twice so far, and yeah, I didn't really like it, but I might have to revisit it for the podcast because why not? And yeah, who knows? He also is a executive producer on the TV series Lost in Space, where he's done 20 episodes, or he did 20 episodes, I should say, because it looks like it's canceled because it was from 2018 to 2019. I could be wrong. It might be still, just on hiatus because of COVID and everything. I don't know. But who knows? A quick rundown or synopsis on IMDb is a routine military exercise turns into a nightmare in the Scotland wilderness. That's well, detailed. The synopsis on Google, though, is during a routine nighttime training mission in the Scottish Highlands, a small squad of British soldiers expected to meet up with his special ops units instead find a bloody massacre with a sole survivor. The savage attackers of the special ops team return, and the men are rescued by Megan, a zoologist who identifies what hunts them as werewolves. Without transport or communication, the group is forced to retreat to a farmhouse to wait for the full moon to disappear at dawn. Also, Neil Marsh was also the writer for this movie, which is pretty interesting. Not too bad if I do say so myself. Taglines: a bitch of a werewolf movie. Okay, that's just getting right to the plot. It's an action, horror, and thriller is the genre. Trivia: in the scene where Wells asks Cooper to knock him out, by Wells, I'll be saying Sarge the whole time, throws a stage punch the first time, but misjudges the distance of the second and actually catches Wells on the nose. And I guess he didn't feel the punch, however, as he really was drunk for that scene. Interesting. And also, there's apparently a goof more than once. Megan asserts that the remote cottage where most of the action takes place is 50 miles from the nearest habitation, Fort William, or from the next glen where Megan claims her cottage to be. be. Even if she were lying to stop the soldiers from trying to leave, they ought to have known that nowhere is more than 50 miles from anywhere in the Highlands of Scotland, especially not a sizable town like Fort William. I wouldn't know that, but whatever, I guess. And there's alternative versions apparently. Neil Marsh, he did film a scene where Spoon gets horrifically killed by werewolves. The scene never made it into the finished film, and it is unknown if the scene actually exists, but he apparently claims it exists, so I'm going to say it probably exists, because why would you say exist if it's not actually something that exists? That's just my point and opinion on that, but I could be wrong. What do I know?
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
Move your fucking arse, soldier!
I love it when a posh bear talks dirty.
Anyways, we're just gonna get right into the movie. Intro credits start to roll a little bit, and then the movie starts out. We are in Scotland, as we see a couple down by the river, camping, taking a break from the city because they're tired of everything. The girl has a gift. She says no knight should be without his sword. The gift looks like a little dagger, but apparently it's also made out of solid silver, she says, which will come into play later on in the movie. And then we cut to the nighttime and them getting ready to pretty much get it on in their tent, and the zipper of the tent starts to go up as it's being opened, and then we hear some growling, and the girl's leg gets grabbed by what we can see is a werewolf hand, and she gets ripped out of the tent by the werewolf, and then we hear her screaming, and then the guy literally just gets covered in blood. Then we hear the werewolf howl as the title pops up on the screen. Then we cut to 2 hours earlier in North Wales, as we see a guy running through the woods as it's raining, and then some army guys are chasing after him with dogs. The guy starts to fight the soldiers in the woods, and then he gets caught, and we find out it's part of a training exercise, and he's been on the run from them for 22 hours. This is our main character, Cooper, and he is with the special force operations, and their dickhead leader, Ryan, Captain Ryan, or Sergeant, whatever he is, gives Cooper a gun and tells him to shoot the dog that they've been using to hunt him down. And Cooper's like, what? He's like, I'm not going to shoot a dog just for sake of shooting a dog. And that pisses Ryan off because he doesn't want to shoot the dog, and Cooper refuses to do so. So then, like I said, Ryan gets all pissed off and says he has no use for someone on his team if he won't kill a useless dog. And then Ryan goes to fail Cooper for the whole entire course, even though seeing he was on the run for 22 hours, he's actually at the top tier of the class because that's how well he did. And because Cooper refuses to shoot the dog, Ryan grabs the gun and shoots the dog for him because Ryan's a fucking asshole. Just saying, putting that out there. And then Cooper starts smacking around Ryan, and then Ryan gets the best of him, pushing him down to the ground, and pretty much gets him behind him and gets a chokehold. He's like, I don't forgive, and I don't give second chances either. Then we jump up to 4 weeks later, and we are in a helicopter flying over some woods in the mountain area of the Highland, and then we see the chopper landing in a clearing in the woods as a bunch of soldiers come out of this chopper, which seems like a lot more soldiers than should be in that chopper, but I don't know the weight classifications, so we'll just not go off on that at all. But anyways, once everyone leaves the chopper takes off, and then we see one of the guys in this organization or group of soldiers is Cooper, again as some of the other dude who was later known as Wells, who I just call Sarge the whole time because I didn't find out his name and I didn't look it up until now, so that's besides the point. Anyways, Wells is telling his crew to get their watches all synced together, and that's when we hear one guy complain because he's gonna miss the football game, aka soccer for us non-Scottish and British people. But yeah, one of the guys doesn't have his watch. He's like, I forgot it back at the camp, and this is just a training training exercise because all the guns have duds in them, but the Sarge being such a nice guy, he's like, I'll just give you my watch. The guy's like, well, what are you going to do, Sarge? He's like, I'll just count. It's not that big of a deal. But then Sarge says he wants to get the mission done so he can go home, jump in bed with a hot lady, watch the telly, watch the football, and he wants nothing but grotesque violence from everyone. He wants them to all do their job so they can get this crap done, even though it's just a training exercise. Then the Sarge gives his watch, like I said, to the guy who forgot his watch to make him feel better, I guess, because he feels like he's letting the Sarge down. Then we see Cooper setting up the map for the trail. I guess he might be like the second in command in this group. I'm not really too sure, but he's definitely the guy who sets out the plot as to where everyone's going to go and the best route to get the mission done. And we also know he has a lucky rabbit foot, and he's like, you know what, at this point I'll need any luck because he feels bad for failing the special ops exam, essentially. And then Sarge says, you know, the squad would be a lot worse off without you, so you're doing a good job. And pretty much, you know, letting Cooper know, you know, it's okay, you didn't shoot that dog, you know, it's for the best. I wouldn't have done it either. Then we see the group moving through the hills and the tree line, getting closer to what they believe is their target area. Then as they are sitting down to rest, Cooper says how he's heard stories of people disappearing out in these woods lately. And then he tells a story about the couple at the start of the movie and how rangers found their tent all ripped up into pieces, blood everywhere, but no sign of bodies or any sign of life because there's just so much carnage all over the place. Then as they're on the move again, we see them being tracked down. And of course, the person that's hunting them down, tracking them down with binoculars is the dickhead Ryan, of course, who I, in my notes, pretty much call Dickhead all the time. He's, of course, one of the characters we're not going to like because he tries to get Cooper to shoot the dog and Cooper refuses to do it, so he does it for him because he's a dickhead, hence why I call him Dickhead. We then cut to them at night setting up camp and going on about what scares them the most. And apparently for Cooper, he says is spiders, women, and spider women. Apparently he hasn't seen Spider Gwen. She's not that terrifying, but that's besides the point. Then the Sarge says the one thing that scares him is not being able to go back and see his wife again. Then the Sarge starts telling an old story about how him and an old mate, Eddie, went out for a tattoo while they're on a mission in Iraq. I'm not sure the technical military terms, so we're not going to try to be all fancy. Anyways, they're in Iraq, and apparently Eddie wanted a devil tattoo because he felt like that was the only thing to save him or get his reach out of God's hands. I don't know the whole story behind it. I watched this movie late at night last night, so it's still fresh in my head, but this part's a little non-fresh, I guess. Anyways, he got the devil tattoo on his butt, of all things, and the next day he's out, and he actually sets off an anti-tank mine, and Sarge says the only thing that was left of him was bits and pieces all over the place in a giant circle. And then one of the other mates, while they're cleaning up his remains with a shovel, actually find one piece of skin that's still safe, which was his ass that had the devil's tattoo on it, and that's the only thing the devil saved from him was that one chunk of skin. Then out of nowhere, a dead cow drops off the cliff above them and crashes in the camp, and one of the guys starts freaking out and starts shooting his gun. He's like, one of the other guys like, dude, it's just blanks, you're not going to do anything, just stop. And everyone's scared shitless because literally they just had this ripped up cow fall off this cliff that's above their camp and land right on their campfire, essentially. Cooper's looking over the cow's dead body and saying how the cow looks like it was killed by the teeth mark because it's not actual wounds, it's wounds, but it's not like gun wounds or anything like that. It looks like something actually attacked it because it was hungry. Then we see a nice shot of full moon, and then we see the dickhead army guy Ryan out in the woods with his night vision goggles trying to track people down, and we can see he's being stalked by something. And then we hear the sound of a dog coming up, and we see blood splatter all over the rocks behind him. We think he's dead, but spoiler, he's not. It's now morning. We find the group out on their way when they stop, and the Sarge sees some weird looking fur on a branch, so he grabs it, and then they start going on their way again. They come with chunks of meat that's on the ground, and they look all confused, and I'm pretty sure they hear a flare go off in there, and Sarge's like, what the hell's going on now? Then as they're traveling, they come up to another camp, which would have been Ryan's group, his special forces group, and there's blood and guts all over the place. And then Sarge orders them to keep an eye out for survivors and to take the weapons, and if they find Little Red Riding Hood with a bazooka at all, they're supposed to waste her away and make her dead. Then the Sarge wants them to order in an evac, and then out of nowhere, Ryan pokes his head up behind like some ammo crates, and he's bleeding pretty badly, and he starts to mumble there was only supposed to be one of them, but apparently there's more of them. They try radioing out for help, but the radios aren't working, and it's pretty much dead air and static. We see the Sarge and Cooper wrapping Ryan up, and we find out Ryan is part of a special forces and how they were packing tranquilizers and all these other weapons that doesn't really look like they're on a military like mission. They're more looking like they're on a safari mission because of I think they had like nets and stuff too. And Cooper makes that comment that it looks like they're on a special safari mission rather than an army mission. Then one of the soldiers finds out their radios have been bugged the whole time, and they're confused as to what's going on because this was just supposed to be a training mission, and now everything's going pretty much crazy. Then we find out the exercise is over, and Sarge orders everyone to change over to live rounds if they know what's good for them, because he doesn't want any shit happening, and if they get attacked, he wants them to be able to pretty much kill the people. Then off in the distance we hear some screaming, and then after that we hear some howling, so we can just assume it's the people changing into the werewolf early on because it's still light out. They run to the tree line to get in order to pretty much get a tactical setting up. That way they can have the best advantage of survival. And then we see one of the soldiers, I think Bruce, starting to take point. And we see the tree line moving in the air a bit. And then we hear a howl off in the distance. And then we see a shadow run by. And he tries to shoot his gun, but it's fucking jammed to shit. He keeps trying to unjam it and whatnot. And it won't go. So then he runs off in the woods, and then he gets impaled by a tree, which there's this hard fucking tree branch broken right off. And he runs with enough force right into it to impale him in the chest. But it's okay. Then the werewolf comes up and breaks the tree branch and kills him. And then the Sarge sees a blood trail, and he goes to check on it. And then the werewolf comes at him. He shoots it off a bit, only to find Bruce's dead body on the ground. Then the Sarge gets his guts ripped open. Literally, the guts start to fall out. And Cooper saves him, and then the werewolf runs off again. Sarge says, "My guts are hanging out," and Cooper's like, "Oh, we'll just fit them right back in. Don't worry about it, Sarge. You'll be able to walk it off in no time. Don't worry about it, Sarge. It's fine." Then we see them running in the woods with the rest of the group as they're trying to fight off the werewolf, and they're trying to get some kind of distance and somewhere for safety. And then as they are running through the woods, we see this Range Rover, or what I'm assuming is Range Rover. I don't know. It's over there. It should be a Range Rover. Land Rover. It's all the same crap. I don't know. Anyways, it's coming down the road, and one of the soldiers runs down the hill to try and catch it, but he slides into the road, and he's got his hands up, pretty much telling her to stop. And she almost runs him over. Like, she gets over him a bit and just stops literally like a foot away from his face. And she tells them all to get in, and they all load up into this little Range Rover or Land Rover, whatever it is. And then as she's trying to drive away, the tires start to spin as it's starting to get stuck in the mud. And then we have the werewolf on the roof, which is definitely not helping things. And he puts his arm right through the roof of the fucking SUV. And then they finally get away. I think they might have stabbed the werewolf to get his arm out of the SUV. Then the girl asks what happened, and one of the guys like, "We got fucking attacked. What do you think happened? What else do you think? You saw that, heard it? What else you wanted to know?" She tells them she's going to take them to a friend's farm. That way they can tend to the Sarge's wounds, because they're still gotta, seal up his guts and his insides and shit. So, that's fun. They make it to the house, but it seems like no one is home. So Cooper lets himself in, seeing the doors unlocked anyways. And we notice the fireplace is still burning. So there's some odd things happening right now in this home. Then we see the soldiers sweeping the home, and they try to find anyone. And we also see the dinner tables also set up, which is also adding to the odd factor. And then we see one of the doors starting to shake a bit, so Cooper opens it up, and only to find this happy, excited puppy behind it. And then the house is finally clean sweep, and they are hoping that the girl will have some answers to help them out as to what the hell's going on, because she's from this area. We see them all sitting around the table getting ready to patch up the Sarge, and the entire time the dog's just watching them all, wondering what the hell's going on, because this is his home and now it's full of these army guys that it's never seen before. We find out our nearest phone apparently is 50 miles away, because there's no phone on this farmhouse, and apparently the nearest town is also 4 hours away. So then Cooper and Spoon decide to go get help, and they're going to use the girl's SUV, Land Rover, whatever, and they're going to leave everyone else behind so they can attend to the sergeant, the Ryan, or just let Ryan die. It really doesn't matter about Ryan, to be honest with you. They go outside to look at the Land Rover, and we see the hoods ripped open and the engine's pretty much ripped apart, and we see a werewolf hiding behind it as it's rubbing up against the glass, and Cooper shoots the gas tank to blow it up to get them enough distraction to get them back in the house. Then the werewolf tries to get inside, and then the dog is like seen trying to eat. I don't know, this part was a little bit confusing. I don't know if it was detail wise or the copy, but the dog's either trying to eat the Sarge's guts, or he's trying to eat the wrapping around the Sarge, or maybe it's the wrapping around Ryan. It could be one of the two because of what happens at the later end of the movie. I thought it was a Sarge, but I could have been wrong. Maybe it's Ryan sitting on the ground. I'm thinking now that's Ryan, but I don't know. And then one of the other soldiers gets sick because of what's going on. It's a lot of stress for him. He literally pukes on the back of Ryan's head. Ryan's like, "Where's the washroom? Just let me know where the washroom is." That's like his one good part in the whole movie. The Cooper and the group have no choice but to stay in the home and make the best of it for the night. The girl is wanting questions, and Cooper just says they were here for a routine exercise mission. Then one of the other soldiers says the werewolves are holding their ground, moving through the tree line, just pretty much stalking their prey, essentially. Then the girl is saying they are half wolf, half men people outside. Cooper just thinks she's being dumb and jokes it off. He's like, oh yeah, wolf guys, yeah, sure, whatever you say, girl. And then Sarge makes jokes. He's like, I really like your new girlfriend, because they're bickering back and forth with one another. We see the guys looking out the windows. At one point, it's pretty bright, but I guess it's still nighttime and just the moonlight. That's the only thing I don't understand with this movie. Anytime they're looking out a goddamn window, it's like such a bright white light that you can't see what's on the other side of the fucking window. So I'm assuming it's just supposed to insinuate that the moonlight is so bright that you can't see out, but it doesn't make sense to me. It shouldn't be that goddamn bright, but what do I know? Then we find out the girl's name is Megan, and we find the soldiers looking around the house for weapons. One of them finds an axe, and then one of them finds like this electric kitchen knife, and then one guy opens up a goddamn trunk, I think it was a spoon, and pulls out a fucking like Irish sword, which I'm like, damn, that's gonna do some good. But actually, I don't even think I see them use any of those weapons in the movie at all, which is kind of a bummer. Then we see Sarge in bed as Cooper is getting ready to patch him up with the help of Megan, and then we just hear Sarge screaming in pain in the room as they're working on him, as the soldiers are around the house. Then as they're working on Sarge, he's in so much pain, he asks Cooper to knock him out. The first punch doesn't do the job, so then Sarge calls Cooper a pussy, but then the second punch definitely knocks him out. But it's okay, like I said in the Goose or whatever, the trivia. He apparently didn't feel it because he actually did get punched in the face because he was actually drunk for this scene. Then we found out Megan is a zoologist, and she moved to the area about 2 years ago. She had actually heard stories about the werewolves, so she wanted to try and find traces of them and tracks and whatnot. And she's a very cryptologic person, or whatever the term is for her also, but she's technically a zoologist by trade. Cooper gets the group together and says, no more running, we stand here and fight. So the one guy says, well, what are we fighting? So then Megan's like, well, I'll fill you in on that. We're fighting lycanthropes. And he's like, that's werewolves for us stupid people, just so you know there, Spoon. And they find it pretty hard to believe that they're fighting werewolves, but if you're looking at what you've already seen attacking you, you can definitely tell it's werewolves, because they're definitely not humans. She mentions every month on a full moon, around 15 people on average go missing with no signs of life and no signs of ever being around in this exact area. We find out that Dickhead's guy's name is Captain Ryan, and that he's not part of their team. So then Cooper goes to question him, but gets no answers from him, because Megan makes I think at this point Cooper's going around introducing his team to Megan, and that's when she's like, oh, you're missing one other person, and that's Ryan. He's like, well, he's not actually part of our team. So that reminds me, let's go question him, and that's when they get no answers. Cooper starts questioning and is wondering how he's doing so well now, seeing when they originally found him, he was on death's door. He has to see his wound, so Ryan pulls a gun out. He's like, he ain't checking my wound. Get away from me, you're not getting any closer. So that's when I think Megan comes up behind him and hits him with a pot, knocks him out. Then the lights go out because the werewolves are smart and they're taking out the generator for the home. Cooper tells Megan if Ryan tries anything, just to smash him and with the frying pan again, because just knock him out, it's fine. And then we see the doorknob slowly starting to turn, and then one of the other doors starts to shake, and then the werewolves start to break in, and we see the soldiers, doing their best to pretty much fight back with what they got. Cooper starts throwing pots of boiling water in the faces of the werewolves to make them back off a bit, I guess. One soldier backs up against the window as he's reloading. He gets grabbed through the window, and then Cooper comes in and chops off the hand of the werewolf. Because you're an idiot, if you're fighting werewolves or any kind of monster or a zombie apocalypse, never back yourself up against a window. That's just not smart thinking, but it's a horror movie in 2002. It's fine. Then we see Cooper going upstairs to check on the Sarge, and a werewolf is coming through the bedroom window, and then another werewolf grabs him from another window, and he's trying to fight it off, and he's trying to wake the Sarge up, tell him, wake up, you drunk bastard. And then Sarge finally wakes up, and they start shooting the one werewolf out the window, and then everyone goes quiet for a bit, and we see a werewolf off in the woods watching them, and one of the soldiers stand by the window again, and his dumbass gets ripped out the window and into the woods, and Megan pretty much just watches on and walks over to the window, looks out, and we can definitely start to tell there's something not right about Megan. And then Sarge is handing the squad off to Cooper, or at least what's left of the squad, I should say. We find out Terry was the one taken through the window because he's a dumbass, so Cooper says they are going to go get him back. So then Ryan's like, why are you doing, you dumbass? He's already dead, don't worry about it. Because Ryan's just that that type of guy. Megan says their only hope is for daylight, and the sunrise is in about 6 hours. And Cooper says the Sarge is only good for about 4 hours left, or he's going to pretty much be dead. Cooper gives Megan his lucky rabbit foot, and then Ryan says, "You're going to need more than just that." We find out Megan and Ryan know each other because apparently Megan was part of Ryan's team when Ryan first came to there for his first visit, because this is apparently his second visit at least. Cooper then gives Megan a handgun to help fight off the next stage, whatever happens next at least, because I guess he kind of trusts her more now, which I don't know why. She's not done anything yet to make you warrant her trust, because for all you know, she's going to take that gun, put it at your face, and push you outside and have you fend off the werewolves. She's then seen looking out the window, and she's making eye contact with the werewolves that they're walking through the tree line, and just building up that there's something not right with Megan. Then Megan asks if anyone knows how to hotwire a car, because she mentions they keep an old Range Rover in the barn, but she doesn't know where the keys are. So the next plan is they need to give a good decoy to give the guy enough time to get to the barn and get the car running. And then that's when I started to question again, why the hell is it so bright when they're looking out the fucking windows when it's supposed to be nighttime? The moon is not that bright. And, if it is in certain places, maybe. Not around here, it's not. It's definitely not that bright at all. But, with the night light pollution, all that crap around here, maybe it's a different time. Who knows? I don't remember 2002 that well. I was still in school, so it's besides the point. We see one of the soldiers sneaking out of the window. Pretty sure that's Spoon. I don't get the names correct all the time, but I'm pretty sure that one's Spoon. Nice soldier name, I guess. Maybe it's a decoy name. I don't know. He's the decoy. He's got a flare in hand. He's trying to get the werewolf's attention to give the guy enough time to race to the barn to get the car started. And he gets the werewolf's attention. The other guy jumps out the window, and then he runs back to the house and run up the rope ladder that they put out, which isn't really a ladder, it's just a rope that he's got to climb up military style. The werewolf, he gets up, it gets into the bedroom, and then the werewolf starts climbing up the rope or pulling on it to the point where he's pulling the whole bed, because that rope's tied to the bedpost that the Sarge is on, and Cooper gets pinned between the bed and the wall, so they have to try and cut the rope as the werewolf's trying to get in, as they're using the camera flash to blind the wolf as they're taking pictures of him. Then the other guy starts the car, only to see, once the headlights of the car turns on, there's a werewolf eating whatever that guy's name was that got ripped out of the window in front of him, and he's pretty much like just reaching out his hand, pretty much saying help me or kill me, one of the two. Anyways, he gets the car out of the barn and parks it in front of the house, and that's when he's got like the back of the car parked against the front door. We can see breath coming through, and he's like, "Oh, you're in here with me, aren't you?" And then he pretty much jumps in the back seat. He's like, "I'm going to beat you with my fists." So he starts fighting the werewolf, and we just hear howling, and we see the Land Rover moving, and just some screaming and some blood, and well, we don't see blood, we just hear the splatter of the blood, I should say. Anyways, the soldiers then go out the front door to open up the back door of the Range Rover, and that's when we see the soldier's head fall out, and lots of blood and guts, and that's when we see the werewolf inside feeding on what's left of his body, and then they start shooting at it, and then I think they just go back into the house at that point in time. It was weird because at that point in time the movie went black for me for like 2 seconds, so I'm not sure if there's a difference in that other version that I didn't watch at that point in time. Hopefully not, but yeah, that's what was happening in mine. At this point, we also notice that the Sarge is now up and moving, and that's a little bit weird because he was literally just on death's bed and apparently only had 4 hours to live, but now he's up and moving around because we can just assume what's happening with him. Then Cooper starts getting annoyed at Ryan for not giving him answers. Ryan finally gives up some info about the Special Weapons Division. Apparently that's why he was tasked to come here, because they were tasked to try and catch a werewolf and bring it back alive, because they want to use werewolves as soldiers in the war. Then Sarge wants to know where his team fits in, and Ryan just says, well, you guys were the expendable team and used as bait essentially for us to try and catch the werewolf, because the werewolves were supposed to go after you guys, and we were just supposed to pick them off, or pick it off, because it was only supposed to be one of them, and well, he picked us off first, so shame on us, I guess. Then they start a fight, and we can see Ryan's eyes start to change, and we see him starting to like transform and grow claws as he gets thrown over the kitchen table, and then he's behind it. Then once he pops back up, he's in full werewolf form, and Sarge throws a stick at him. He's like, "Go fetch, boy, go fetch!" And then they start fighting him off, and then he jumps out the window and runs away. I think he might have got impaled at that point in time because of what happens later, or maybe gets impaled on the window. I'm not really too sure on that one. Then Cooper thinks the werewolves are the family that lived in the home, because no one else lives in the area other than than Megan, and Megan tries to speak up saying, they're really good people. They're really nice people. I'm sure once the daylight comes, they'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. Then we see them grabbing some tanks in the home together, and they're setting up a trap. We see the sergeant setting up some Molotovs, and Cooper and Spoon are worried that the sergeant is going to turn as well as Ryan did. Their trap is apparently Megan at one point mentions that the werewolves are probably close to home, as in they're staying in the barn where there's warmth and food. So that's what their plan is, to attack the barn. The sergeant essentially wants them to run away while he's holding off the werewolf, and he's like, this is your best chance. I'll hold them off. You guys run away, and we'll do the best for survival. Because then he shows his wounds. It's like, look, Cooper, see how fast this thing is healing? That's not normal. Tell me it's freaking normal. You can't tell me it's normal. So I'm going to turn at some point. So just get away from me as fast as possible, and I'll try and do my best to hold them off. We send them loading this giant tank into the back of the Range Rover as Spoon is underneath the Range Rover, cutting the gas line to make a trail of gas. And Cooper takes off and speeds the truck into the barn. He jumps out beforehand, of course. And they're trying to light the gas trail, but the matches won't light. And it finally goes and leads to the barn. And we see the whole barn explode into flames. Then, as Cooper's back in the house, Megan says sorry to him and says they have no chance and no way out at this point. Then we find out there's no other house and no werewolves in the barn at all, because that was just Megan setting up a diversion, I guess, essentially. Then we see Megan trying to fight off from transforming. She says they just need to let nature take its course. Then Sarge shoots her right in the face before she can transform, as we see werewolves popping up behind her. So I'm not sure if she's actually dead from the bullet shot in the head because she's still human. I'm not sure how that really works. I should really look into that. But at the same time, it seems like even if you're scratched by a werewolf, you transform now. So like if you get a cat scratch, you're pretty much screwed. But I'm not sure how that works, because you usually gotta be bit. But I guess in Scottish Highlands it's different, which is really making me wonder in Werewolf, but in Paris and Werewolf in London, if there's scratches or bites. It's been a while since I watched those, but we'll probably watch it for the podcast again. Maybe we'll do like a month of werewolf movies, but we'll see. Anyways, back to the movie at hand. We see there's the soldiers and everyone's split up, and we have werewolves split up as well, and everyone's pretty much on their own fight against each other. Pretty sure Spoon is literally trying to fight a werewolf off with his bare hands because he's a badass. He does like a military style kick, and we actually see a tooth of the werewolf fly out and get stuck into the wood. He's like, that guy's a badass. He can be on my team anytime. The sergeant's fighting off one in a closet. He's stuck in a closet, and he breaks a hole. The werewolf breaks a hole in the door. Looks like he's fighting him off with a lighter and some like hairspray or something, anything that turns into flames. He's like trying to burn it like it's a giant ass fucking bug. Then Cooper is in the bathroom fighting another one off. He breaks the sink, literally takes the tap out of it, and literally stabs a werewolf in the skull with the tap. And then Spoon gets grabbed by the throat and spits in the werewolf face, saying, I hope I give you the shit. And I think he was fighting off one werewolf, and then another secondary werewolf came in, and that's what actually did him in. Cooper and Sarge then make it into another bedroom to hide, and they hide inside this wardrobe closet, and that's when Cooper says he smells something. They look down, there's like skeletons, like human skeletons in the bottom. So then Sarge is like, just close your mouth, look up, as he's shooting the floor to shoot the floor out so they can drop down to the first floor of the house, because they're upstairs. And that's when they find out Spoon is dead, because apparently that room is like right above the kitchen, and we just see blood all over the place. They find the cellar basement area, so Sarge is giving Cooper the order to go down on his own, and he's having issues fighting off the pain from transforming into the werewolf at this point in time. So then Cooper finally leaves into the basement area, and Sarge closes like the cellar basement door that's in the floor, and he's starting to fight off the pain. He's doing as best as he can. He grabs a butcher knife, and we're not sure what he's going to do, but he actually puts the fire out first, and then he cuts the gas line that's on the stove, and that's when we then see him looking at a picture of his wife as he's laying on the floor up against the stove. That's when the werewolves start to come into the kitchen, and then he screams as his eyes start to turn yellow, and he hits the button on the stove, and the entire top of the house blows up and goes up into flames. We see Cooper in the basement, and we find out there's bodies hanging from the ceiling, and there's still one werewolf still alive, and Cooper thinks it's Ryan, because he's like, you licking yourself yet? No, you can't be. You don't have any balls anyways. And he starts to fight, and at this one point, the werewolf has Cooper pinned up against the wall, and he's got like this wooden spike coming out of his chest, which is right in Cooper's mouth. And that's when the dog that was around in the movie actually comes back and starts fighting the werewolf off, and that's when Cooper reaches down the ground and he sees, I think, maybe the tent or whatnot, and he finds that silver dagger, and he literally gets Ryan in the back. We're going to say it's Ryan. Werewolf Ryan in the back, and he starts screaming, and then the werewolf Ryan comes at Cooper, and that's when Cooper pulls the gun out and shoots him in the head, and we just see his brains blow all over the place. And then we see Cooper and the dog leaving the rubble of what was the home, as is now, morning time, and the movie is essentially over, and then the credits start to roll, and in between the credits we see pictures of the werewolves that they took from the Polaroid camera, and we also see like the score of the soccer game, football game, and I think it was 5-1 for, I didn't pay attention to which spot, but oh yeah, and that's the end of the movie. Like I said, I didn't know there was a sequel, but we'll have to check it out at some point. I'm definitely up for watching that werewolf movie, and I've actually never seen it, so it'd be a nice fresh watch. I've seen this movie about like 3 or 4 times. I saw it once when I was a kid. I shouldn't say kid, it was 2002. It must have been 2003, 2004 maybe. It's back when over here we had the Scream channel on the satellite, and that was horror movies and thrillers and suspense movies all day long. That channel is now sadly long gone, but it was a good memory. A good part of my childhood, because they played like the Elvira movies and everything on it as well. And then they played, that's the first time I also seen the Friday the 13th TV series, which I thought was really weird because it's not really about Jason. It's about like artifacts that are haunted, I guess. It's been a while since I watched that one. But yeah, back to the movie at hand. This is a fun werewolf. I like that seeing it's from 2002, there's still a lot of practical effects, and the werewolves look really cool, and they look very large and menacing, and they look terrifying in certain light. And I think that's really well done, and it's a really fun movie. And on the Rotten scale out of 10, I'm going to give it a 7.5 because I think it really deserves it. And the fact that we see the werewolves a lot and they look really cool is definitely a thing that helps with this movie. Because I find too many werewolf movies, the effects and the look of the werewolves is what really kills it. Because if you can't have a cool werewolf and something that looks menacing and terrifying, then you pretty much lost 90% of the battle in your werewolf movie. But yeah, which brings us to our movie we're going to watch next week. It's another movie that you can watch on Tubi, and I've never seen this one before. I just randomly added it to my my watch list, and I figured we will just go through some movies on there. We're going to watch a Danny Trejo movie. I didn't catch the year on it. I didn't write it down. But like I said, it's free on Tubi. We're going to watch Tales from the Crypt American Nightmares. It might suck. It probably will suck, to be honest with you. It's a Danny Trejo, like, B-looking horror movie. So yeah, I'm not expecting big things from this movie, but it should be fun nonetheless. And yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it for the first time ever and seeing how it turns out. So hopefully you guys will stop by for that one as well, and I appreciate if you guys do. And as always, the outro band is this Toronto-based horror band, Blood Opera, and definitely go check them out. All their links will be down below, but you can find them on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, all those fun things. Like I said, all their links will be down below as well. And as always, follow me on all social medias at Typhonstein. All my links will be down below as well in the Linktree link. But yeah, my main things being, like I said, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Talk. Those are all the things I'm on. I don't post on them all super often, but I am trying to get better. The main thing I've been posting on lately for the last month or so, or a couple months I should say, is the YouTube channel, where you can see all my my short videos, my live. You can see my drawing videos that I time lapse, and there's some longer art videos as well. But yeah, I know people like seeing the process of that, so you guys can definitely check that out. And then there's also my gameplay videos. Every Wednesday I drop a new gameplay video, and we also have the back catalog of the podcast going up as well, so you guys can definitely check those out as well. They're all fun to listen to, and at one point in time we'll probably try and do a video podcast in addition to the actual audio. I would like to. I just don't have a real setup that I want for that yet, nor do I have, I think, the editing skills to edit a video podcast, or the time. The time might be a big thing. Time and the skills is probably the big thing. But we'll see what we can do for later on this year. I think having a video aspect would be fun. But yeah, there's a lot of ideas for the rest of this year. So hopefully you guys will join, and to make sure if you guys are listening to this on a site where you can review it or leave a rating or stars, I would highly appreciate that. So if you're on Spotify, you can leave a star rating, and if you're on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, you can leave an Apple review, and I would love to hear from you guys. I love hearing from everyone, and hopefully you guys enjoy the podcast. And if you guys don't enjoy it, feel free to give it a bad review,
That way I know what to improve. At least give me some pointers as to what to improve, and just don't say I suck and that my voice is horrible. But anyways, I will talk to you guys all later. Hopefully you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on the next one. Talk to you guys later. Peace! I am a whisper in a glass room.